Let's talk about that moment of social panic. You know, the one right after you've shared just a little too much. But what if you could turn that anxiety into an art form? Well, today, we're going to break down how you can share powerfully and build some amazing connections without any of the regret. So, we have to start with a feeling that I'm pretty sure we all know a little too well. It's what you might call the oversharing hangover, that classic oh no feeling that just washes over you after a conversation. You know the one, right? You're replaying the whole thing in your head, and then this exact question just pops right in there. It's that sinking feeling that you might have said way too much, way too soon. It's uncomfortable, it's anxious, and honestly, it's incredibly common.
And here's the good news. That feeling is totally real, but you don't have to be stuck with it. There is a much smarter, more intentional way to share parts of yourself and build real trust. This isn't about shutting down, it's about learning how to open up strategically.
So what we really need to do is reframe our goal here. We're not just trying to avoid the bad feeling of oversharing. No, the real aim is something much more positive. It's mastering the art of what we'll call smart self-disclosure.
So what does that actually mean, smart self-disclosure? Well, think of it like this. It's the art of purposefully sharing pieces of your story, not just to vent or dump your feelings, but to actually build a bridge of trust and connection with someone else. It's sharing with a real purpose.
And the best part? There's a simple, actionable plan for this. We're going to walk through a 3-step playbook that you can literally use in any conversation to share more safely and powerfully. Ready to dive in? Okay, here's the roadmap. First, we start light before we even think about going deep. Second, we have to match the vibe of the conversation. And third, we're going to use a super practical mental check called the regret test. Let's break these down one by one. First up, start light, then deepen. You know, this is all about pacing. You just don't want to unload your heaviest personal stories right out of the gate. I mean, that can be super overwhelming for the other person, and honestly, it puts you in a pretty vulnerable spot way too early. Now, here's a great example of how this works in practice. Instead of a statement like, I'm so overwhelmed, which is kind of just an emotional dump, right? Try turning it into a question. Something like, I've been juggling a lot lately. How do you keep balance? See the difference. The first one is a dead end. The second one is an invitation to connect. Okay, so on to step 2, which builds right on that first one. You have to match the vibe. Think about it. A great conversation is kind of like a dance. It really requires you to pay attention to your partner. You want to try and mirror their level of openness. And this puts it perfectly. It's a two-way exchange, not a solo therapy session. So if the other person is keeping things pretty surface level, that's definitely not your cue to dive into your deepest secrets. You have to let the depth grow naturally and, really importantly, mutually. And finally, we have the third step. And this one is maybe the most practical of all. Before you share something that feels particularly personal or heavy, you need to run it through this quick mental filter, the would I regret this test.
Let's think about this in today's world. Before you say it, just ask yourself, would I be okay if what I'm about to say was screenshotted and shared? Would I be okay if it was repeated to other people? If the answer to either of those is no, then it's probably best to hold that information back, or at least save it for someone you deeply, truly trust.
So these 3 steps are fantastic tools, but they all really stem from one powerful guiding principle. It's not just about what you say, it's about the mindset you bring to the act of sharing. It's all about owning your story.
So what does owning your story really look like? It means you share with intention, not on impulse. It means you build trust gradually. You don't just demand it up front. You protect the parts of your story that are precious, and you own your boundaries with confidence. This, right here, is where the real power is.
And here's the bottom line. When you shift from that anxious oversharing to this kind of intentional, smart sharing, you don't actually close yourself off. In fact, you do the exact opposite. You open the door for much deeper, more authentic, and more resilient connections.
At the end of the day, your story and your experiences are incredibly valuable. They belong to you. So the final question to leave you with is, the next time you're in a conversation, how will you choose to share it?